There has been some colossal news in the world of football, and it might not be what you immediately think. Now, you will probably know that Everton have got a 10-point deduction from the Premier League for various FFP issues. However, they are set to be sued by Leeds United, Leicester City, and Burnley in court for around £300 million. I'm going to run through exactly what the story is so far, what this legal case might look like, and ultimately what could happen in the long term. Now, to get into the initial points deduction, in case you don't know, they have got a 10-point deduction from the Premier League for this season. Bit of a hiccup, sorry about that. It includes them having losses of over £100 million per season, which is vastly beyond what you are allowed to lose in the Premier League as a football club. In essence, I think FFP rules say you can lose something like 39 million quid per year. Everton were tripling that at some point. And initially, they put that down to losing more money than expected due to COVID. Every single club had some sort of leniency with the Premier League saying you can lose this much because of COVID because no one's in the stadiums. Completely understandable. Everton's figure, for some reason, was vastly bigger than everyone else's. And in the long term, that's turned out to be a series of major breaches of financial fair play. Financial fair play is the set of rules that the Premier League and various other leagues have in place to say you're allowed to spend this much money per season in comparison to your revenue. So you can only lose a set amount per season. Now, for the case of someone like Newcastle, whose owners have an ungodly amount of money, this means that you're regulated in terms of the amount that you spend on transfers and things like that. A lot of people accuse it of being a sort of closed shop with the likes of Man City and Man United being able to basically spend all the money in the world without anyone else able to catch up. But at the same time, it's there to protect various clubs from administration, with the likes of Wigan and Portsmouth in the past falling apart because of it. The Everton situation has been happening for years on end now. It's been happening since COVID, and I reckon they've survived the Premier League for several years through high levels of spending. Not only have they been constantly adding to their squad to try and improve throughout this period, but they're also considering building a completely new stadium, a stadium that will be used for Euro 2028, which feels like an incredibly brave move for the Premier League. Is it 28 or 32? I can't quite remember, but it feels like an incredibly brave move for UEFA and for the Premier League to say this stadium will be good enough when the club is currently under penalty for financial fair play and still needs to do a lot of building work. Ultimately, all of this means that Everton were able to stay up when perhaps they shouldn't, and if they've stayed up when perhaps they shouldn't, other sides have gone down when they shouldn't, and that means legal battle. So Leeds United, Burnley, and Leicester City are all looking to sue Everton as a result of this finding from the Premier League. It's estimated that the suing legal cases, sod it, I'm not a lawyer, are estimated to come to a sum of around £300 million that the clubs will look to recoup from Everton, which is an absolutely colossal amount of cash, considering the fact that Everton losing too much money is the exact reason that this lawsuit's happening in the first place. It's a very weird situation, but that's because each of the individual clubs lost approximately £100 million per season that they had to spend in the Championship. Colossal part of that is from TV revenue, which is something like £100 million in the Premier League, whereas in the league below it, 8, give or take. The EFL TV deal is absolutely horrific, considering the number of people that watch the EFL in comparison to the Premier League. But that's a story for another time. In addition to that, because you've also got parachute payments to consider, they're not going to lose all of their money. It's down to something like £55 million in the first year in the Championship, so there's still like a £50 million loss. However, you've also got to consider the likes of merchandising and player losses and loss of reputation to the club. There is so much stuff that stacks up. So there is a fair argument that each club has lost around £100 million every single one of these seasons. So breaking down the arguments by club, which ones have the best case in this legal situation? Because I feel like not every side has an equal stake in this legal discussion. First up, we've got Leicester. They have a very, very strong argument because we already knew for the last 2 years at the very least. I remember Leeds United against Brentford on the final day of the 21-22 season, maybe. And people were already saying, well, surely Everton should have had a points deduction by now. And they didn't. So this has been going on for a very, very long time. And including last season, when discussions about this were fairly open and everyone knew the financial situation that Leicester was in. And if Everton would have had this 10-point deduction last year, Leicester would still be a Premier League club right now. So that financial loss has come directly from the Premier League not dealing with Everton and Everton breaking those financial rules. Burnley have an equally strong argument, in my opinion, because Everton getting that same 10-point deduction as they did this season, and it was the exact same financial issues, they're running on the same set of accounts, would have made them safe in the 21-22 season. It's Burnley having to spend a season in the Championship under Vincent Kompany. Admittedly, they played excellently in the Championship, comfortably deserved promotion, but that shows you that the side could have had it in them to compete in the Premier League the next year and not go down. Leeds United's argument is somewhat weaker than theirs. The points deduction last season would have put Leeds United into 18th place. Now, 18th place is not enough to get Leeds United out of the relegation zone, keep them in the Premier League. However, there is a little bit of a conversation to be had about the value of comfort. And phrasing it like that feels a little bit weird. But if you've got a situation in which, say, Southampton last season had shit all points all year long and were very, very, very clearly not staying up, towards February, March, a lot of the players are going to give up. A lot of the players are going to say, sod it, I can leave at the end of the year. It doesn't matter to me. Coming into the end of the season, when you're already on a losing streak, when you're on not enough points to stay up, let's be honest, that was the case for Leeds United. And it looks like relegation is absolutely certain. The likes of Weston McKennie, who clearly did not give a shit, are even less likely to care because they're not playing for anything because they're going down. McKennie's only in on loan, and Leeds United staying up means that he has to stay at a club that was just fighting against relegation. Whereas Everton being in that scrap means there's even more motivation to fight, and Leeds United might not be down in that situation. It's a more tenuous argument to make. Leicester and Burnley, concrete arguments. They can easily say, if you would have dealt with this faster, we'd still be in the Premier League. Absolute piss take. Leeds is more of a tenuous argument, but it's still an argument of our direct competitors had a clear advantage. They had the confidence of not being in the relegation zone when they should have been. I don't think that, because the points deduction has a clear moral impact for me. Morale, sorry, not moral. Where if you're Everton and you lose 10 points and you're now 19th or 20th, you are fighting tooth and nail only to see that get lost. I don't know. Let's get back in focus, shall we? There we go. I don't know. I think Everton had clear advantages in the past 2 seasons by not being deducted those points, and any of the clubs that were affected by that are well within their rights to be absolutely furious. What do I think is likely to happen? I don't think that any legal case will be a huge success here. There is a strong argument that sporting sanctions will just do the job, especially considering it's already a financial thing, and the Premier League can just say, look, this is what the rulebook said, we just followed it. I think they will comfortably cover their asses just enough, and Leicester and Burnley might not see justice. Leeds, I don't think we should really make money from suing Everton. There is an argument, but we just weren't good enough, so sod it. But yeah, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, even become a channel member. Be hugely appreciated if you could. And I will see you next time.